So that's yay.
I love that.
Hey guys.
Hey, Nico.
Hello.
Probably eventually I'd like to reschedule this because it's like, I don't know, it's 2 a.m. in the Philippines. I don't know if it's 2 a.m. there, Nico.
Oh, I'm in Madrid right now. I'm in Spain right now. It's 8 p.m. here, but I'll be back in the
Yeah.
Philippines in 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm gonna be having the same time zone as Fishel's.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we'll try this again because I would like for Shell. I want for Shell, Nicola, and Heather, especially, and of course you, Nico. So it's like, okay, I think early morning is our only time.
Yeah, and I'll be in the European zone in 1 month too, for quite a bit. Anyway, so yeah. Well, I'm so excited to actually be able to get together in this group setup, guys. Oh my god.
Cool. And thanks for coming to record this, Franco. Okay. Cool. So here we are. Let's kick off this DAO Ops working group that we said we were going to do. So we'll just start with a round of intentions. My intention is to get through my agenda points as much as we can. Big thing is defining the scope / the work we do. Okay. I'll leave it there and I'll pass it to Nicola.
Thanks. My intentions are definitely to see what's on your agenda, Mitch, and also get some clarity around specifically conflict resolution group. Maybe if there's something I should do in the preparation for this transition as the steward and one-man show as for now, mostly one-man show, but yeah, that's it. Passing it to Nico.
Yeah, thanks, Nicola. Yeah, so my intention would be, since this is the first meeting that we have, I'd like to learn about the overview of this, like our working group, and the high-level things that are on your agenda, Mitch, and also, yeah, also clarity on the scope on my contribution to this working group, where I can support. I'd like to learn more about um, how I function as the buddy person for this working group and how I can support everyone under this working group. And yeah, a bit more clarity on that one as well. So yeah, that's it. And also supporting Frishal and everyone else. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. We'll try and get through as much as we can. I'll add the note here from, I missed the other half, but the main thing I heard from you, Nicola, was like the conflict resolution. How does this fit in? Great. Okay. Cool. First things I want to show is I just copied some stuff from the forum post, just for us to keep in mind when we're looking through it. So our immediate goal, like big goal probably in the next month, is to build one of these working group proposals. So that entails all of the other things that comes with it. So these are just the things that we said we would like to see on a working group. So specific contributors, if we have any, you know, I don't know if we need a monthly time, but we need to figure out like how much time people are planning to commit to this, and then that'll help us figure out the budget. Big things, high level goals. You know, what is the goal of this DAO Ops working group, which it sounds like it might be many things. How to benefit Giveth, obvious, but we need to figure it out. Deliverables, what are our goals? in like more of like a detailed format, especially like what are our goals for the next 3 months. This, well, I think this is obvious to us, like how long is the working group for? Probably very long. Total budget, what kind of paid services, whatever do we need, all that stuff in there. So, and then looking at this part that we added in about approving the budget every quarter. So what is our budget going to be to maintain everything we're doing? If we needed to shrink, what would we cut and what would the budget be then? And then growing. So if we had more money, more funding, what else would we add to the working group? And then some other stuff here, which I don't think applies to us. It could maybe, but profits, updating goals, spending over the last quarter, team changes, budget changes, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then this other piece here is from the DAO ops, what we put in there. So this is maybe interesting for you, Nico and Nicola. Like this is the part I want to check out and see if there's anything we need to add or remove. The scope of the working group, how I thought it would be maintaining all the voting apps. So kind of the work that I'm doing now. If we need to build anything new for people to vote on, or like we want to upgrade stuff, that's all in there. Maintaining the buddy system, conflict resolution, treasury management, vesting, accounting, and helping people in this process we're going through right now. That's kind of where I imagine it. So it's kind of like this thing of accounting and treasury and voting and HR, and to another extent conflict resolution. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with this, and maybe I'll stop talking and let people comment.
So I am just digesting this slowly. I am at the same time noticing that okay, my strengths are definitely in the conflict resolution. I think I can provide a good input and opinions around systems in general, especially including humans, and improving systems and protocols that we create for ourselves. I think those are things that are definitely something that I always like to have a look at and provide my inputs into. I just want to say that I'm really stoked for seeing that conflict resolution is becoming in one group with HR and managing buddy system, because I see that definitely is linked in some way together, and I've been actually hoping and waiting for this little bit of a merge, and this is just creating a beautiful opportunity for me to be more in touch with the HR people like Freshal and Unico and Heather, which I'm so down for. I think it's going to be very beneficial and much more effective and productive. I'm definitely down and curious to see. I think it's definitely important to get on the session also Freshal and Heather and have this like short-term, long-term planning and define, besides of what is already established, is like those enhancements. What do we really want to accomplish in terms of like improvements and the things that we want to work on and bring more freshness into? That's like something that's very interesting to me. Yeah, I'm already tracking my hours this month. I am tracking all my hours so that I can have a good overview. And at the same time, I want to mention that speaking of conflict resolution, the amount of hours that I contribute every month can can be very different each month, depending of if there are cases to mediate or not, because then it
Mhm.
changes like radically, the amount of time that I have to invest. Like this month, or yeah, this month pretty much there has been 2 cases, and I've been seeing that I contribute a lot of time to that um,
Mhm.
corner. So
Mhm.
how do we go about this in terms of budgeting?
I think what we do is uh great. I loved all this. So first of all, I want to say that before I answer your question. This is really good. Um, I think the smartest thing to do is give ourselves like a conflict resolution buffer. So it's like, okay, what's the max we think we're going to spend on conflict resolution? Ask for that per quarter. And if we don't touch it, or if we use only part of it, then like, we don't ask for it again, you know? So we
Mm-hmm.
subtract that from our next quarter, how much we ask for.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
hmm It's like some working groups I've seen before leave a budget for legal issues, you know? If anything happens and they need a lawyer or legal something, they have a legal buffer, you know? And so these buffers, it's like, okay, if nothing came up, then they don't need to ask for it again, but they always need to have a certain amount in the coffers in case something happens. So conflict
Mm-hmm.
resolution is a great example. Sometimes there's nothing, sometimes there's things, you know?
Yeah. Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Good.
Um, anything from you, Nico?
Yeah, well, as for me, Mitch, I'm very happy as well. They're putting a focus and importance on the buddy system, the buddy management that we have, because that also has a work relationship with gravity, like forwarding forwarding the report, the escalations, and also I just want to say that I'm not sure, Mitch, but there are also other things that the HR does that I'm not sure if they fall under the bullet points that you have in there. So I just want to have some clarity on that as well, because as part of the HR team, not only for Giveth but for GM and yeah, like I'm not sure where the onboarding of people should fall. Should that be reported under our working group, like
Mm-hmm.
minimal tasks like creating of offer letters, onboarding them in our communication channels, and catering to the questions of everyone like every day, and yeah, so ad hoc tasks that I'm not really sure
Mm-hmm.
if that should be under that one. So I think Frischel could explain it better because we've been doing it together and also supporting Frischel. So yeah, those things, because those are the hours that I've been reporting in the past months. That those are the tasks that I've been doing in the past months.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those
Mm-hmm.
things.
Great. I want to add all of those things. That's great. I don't see them, so I don't know about them, but I think that all makes sense to have under this group as well. Um, what I want to. Okay, was there anything else? All those tasks you mentioned, I think they're like we can add them. We'll just call them HR tasks. And this is so the work you do with the onboarding, the work you do with contributor outreach, answering questions and everything.
Yeah, and also we have. I'm not sure if that would fall under here, but we do have weekly HR meetings. I mean monthly HR meetings with the team, and I have weekly meetings with Frischel and Heather. But yeah, that can be like that can be something off here. But yeah, what we talk about are things that we should prioritize for HR, like organizing events, town halls, like for the previous town hall that we had. So those other things, evaluating every after we have buddy calls, evaluating the response, the summary of the discussions of the buddy calls. So those things, like improving our processes in HR. So basically, it falls under HR things. So yeah, those
Okay.
things.
I'm I'm just curious here to ask a quick question, Nico. When you get together on these HR calls, is it also general magic related, or you have these calls separate for Giveth or
Yeah,
what?
the thing is, our monthly HR call, it's between me, Ahmad, Heather, and Rochelle. We talk about everything like GM and Giveth. So I'm not sure how to allocate the hours for that one, but it's just like 30 minutes to 45 minutes every month. So just to touch base about our active contributors, our very part-time contributors, the status of everyone, and has there been new hires, off-boarded contributors. So just general updates about everything so that we are on the loop with everything in both organizations. So yeah.
Okay. And to Nicola's question, the weekly meeting that you have with Frashelle and Heather, is that also everything or?
Oh, for my weekly meeting with Heather, it's more focused on HR things. So um, yeah, we talk everything that happens with HR and some of the tasks that she leverages to me. So we talk it on our weekly meeting. It's just 30 minutes to 40 minutes. Sometimes we spend more than that. But with Frischel, my weekly meeting with Frischel, it's more of everything that she needs support with, like for accounting, for PTO,
Mhm.
for time reporting with Coda. So we put everything in there, and then I communicate it with Heather as well and to the HR team. So like everyone is on the loop with that one. But with Frischel, it's more extensive because she needs support with everything. I mean, with lots of things. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. Is there a way that we can, do you think it would be appropriate to hijack your weekly HR meetings? Is it
Yeah, I
something
think
that, go ahead.
um I think that's okay. But there are really confidential information that we
Mm,
are talking about during the HR call. But
mm, mhm.
if we ask, I mean, if we give a heads up to all the members in that HR call, then maybe we can just talk about not very confidential things on that call, and then you can give I mean, jump on that call, and we do prepare some agenda. I mean, we do prepare an agenda every time we have a call, so you can also take a glimpse of that one about what are the high
This is the
level things.
weekly call that you have with Heather, or this is your monthly call?
The monthly call, we have an agenda for that one, the weekly as well, like for all the calls that
Okay,
I have.
both.
Yeah,
Okay. And
for both.
because I don't want to add more meetings to everybody's plate. It's like if there's one that you're having that we can like use that time, have one of these calls, and also making that cohesion between conflict resolution and HR a bit
Mhm.
stronger.
From what I'm hearing here now, it looks like it makes sense that HR, especially talking about the confidential information, have keep having their own like little like 30-minute sync ups for this confidential information, and we try to create more cohesive call of this type where HR can bring in updates as well as
Mhm.
you know we can talk about things related conflict resolution and HR maybe here, or I come to the second half of the HR call if there's something that needs to be discussed. But I think what would be nice to have is more space for more open discussion for these things and less like talking about confidential information, which is also part of the things, but like having actually space about talking about the processes and improvements and like emerging and yeah, working on these
Mhm.
types of things. So I imagine
Mhm.
those are two separate calls.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
I agree to that one as well.
Okay. Good. Okay. So then ideally that what you just said, Nicola, that would be this call, where we have the open space for discussion and not confidential things. Okay. Great. So then in terms of going back to the first thing here, in terms of scope, then do we feel good about this scope here? HR tasks is just a blanket for, everything you, Nico and Heather do for Giveth.
Okay. Yeah.
You think you're able to kind of figure out how much time you spend in each, or I mean, how much time you spend in Giveth?
Yeah, I think, but I'm gonna have to work on that one. I'm not sure if I can give the exact like estimate right now because
No problem.
Heather is not back yet. But yeah, I think that bullet point is okay to cover everything that we do with HR, Mitch.
Okay. Great. And I was hoping to get a Kai here because Kai particularly would be good at some of this technical stuff that I need him to do, or at
I
least to
like that.
review my work. But yeah, go ahead.
Right. And I saw you invited Griff as well. Is that for the treasury management discussions?
I
Sounds
think
like,
so. I
yeah.
kind of needed someone who's got an eye on like more like DeFi and like Ethereum technical stuff, We'll
Yeah.
see if he shows up, but yeah.
I imagine personally that if there is a space that, we need to include somebody who we want to hire from outside into our like work proposal, it would be for this specific thing. I imagine some
Yeah.
professional that could be
But
like
even
advisor
then,
then.
yeah, it's like maybe a few hours every 3 months,
Yeah.
hopefully less, but I agree with you. Um, okay. Okay. Anything else missing from the scope here? Or we feel good about this? Some things like DAO transition support will become less over time. Centralized accounting will be something that might go away over time, but for now we need it.
What is the DAO transition support anyway?
Basically, this is the call that we're having every Thursday and helping people start their chapters, start their working groups, answering questions. If we need to have stewards calls and someone needs to facilitate it,
So that would be responsibility of us or yours or us as a team.
Yeah, I mean us. Like you can see a lot of this stuff around leadership. Like I'm leaning on you more, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm just finishing up these notes. Okay, cool. Then I think that's what we'll call it then. Put this up here. Okay, good. Very good. Next thing, maybe I want to move up and I want to talk about what your point you added in here. How does conflict resolution fit into this? Do you have anything to concerns, Nicola, or?
Well, I was just like having this reflection today on my work with this is just I'm actually as far as like right now I am mostly taking all the decisions around conflict resolution, right? And I have a huge support from Heather, and also there's literally no team. It's just me, Heather, and basically Juanca, who is my mentor, and I go to discuss with him if there's more complicated cases. And really I like it, and I'm seeing, just like I'm seeing that what's happening with conflict resolution right now is that it's this thing that is being shaped and formed, and I am sometimes forced to be innovative and creative in bringing in solutions. And as I do and learn along the process, I see that there are some there's a lot of cross lining between like managing contributors and their like work, and it's less about like really mediating disputes. It's more about helping to have a productive conversations about productivity. Really, that's what I'm noticing a lot recently. And I'm seeing that this is a huge need for the DAO. And I imagine that it will just keep evolving, and I'm excited to like actually be taking time with this process and help to like shape it and bring it into a more concrete outcome. And I do need the HR team. I will need to discuss all this with the HR team. And so far, Heather is doing great job at this, like bringing the awareness or the information from the HR teams, and like how we can improve the processes within Giveth, which is like now we want to improve the escalated feedback form. That's something that's on our to-do list. I know that once she's going to be back, we can start working on the leadership feedback form. So I'm seeing that conflict resolution, or more like a gravity work within Giveth, is a lot related with HR. And at the same time, I'm seeing that in the future there'll need to be a little bit more diversification between what we really call conflict and what we just call like managing humans in horizontal
Hmm.
structure. It's like we're building a whole new system around this, because there's no boss, there's no hierarchy, and we somehow have to like figure
Hmm.
this out. So not only leaders have some say, but then like contributors have to also have some say. And yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff that I'm like experimenting with. For example, managing a case, I'm leaving the contributor who is affected by the case like come up with the accountability aspects for themselves, so that they can hold themselves accountable. And if they can define their agreements and like the things that needs to happen within a timeline, then it's kind of their own responsibility to fill it up. And if they can, then there's no argument around like letting go or shifting the role, or just like ending the contribution. So those are the interesting things that are in the play around all this.
Hmm.
This is basically what I gave you, like the current update on this. Also planning a central session that's going to happen on June 6th. um,
Hmm. So curious what you think about this.
yeah.
So were you gonna say something, Nico? No.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something on that one. Just a clarity on the process that the Gravity team and the HR team have. So currently, our escalation forms are tied up with our buddy form. So that's where the connection comes from. So whenever someone submits an escalation, HR, like I'm the first person to see that one, and then we create a report and then submit it to Nicola. So I'm not just sure yet if it would be better to create a separate escalation form or continue to have it tied up with our current buddy form. But I think Nicola and Heather are currently working on that one. So once Heather is back, I think we can give more high level details on that one, and maybe we can hop on another call together to talk about the
Yeah.
process. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's what we have right now.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the escalated feedback part would like stay part of the feedback form. For more context, we would just like build build it up a little bit, ask a little more questions. But yeah, I imagine that, if there is like a serious problem, then it would become a separate type form. separate from feedback, something that can be addressed immediately. And also, there's this way of like using feedback forms and escalated feedback like during the body reviews, or just like working with the escalated feedback whenever it's created. So there are potential ways, but I want to hear what you had in mind, you, Mitch.
Yeah. So here's something to think about. Because it's particularly like onboarding and more importantly, offboarding and managing contributors and their productivity. What I was hoping is I would make it easier for, or just less intense for this situation by having the working group leads having a huge influence on the onboarding and offboarding processes, if not outright being able to offboard people, and having some sort of system within there where like, okay, they work with the conflict resolution group to like figure things out, but like somebody needs to have the power. Like we're really, really bad at offboarding people, We've never done it. We've never done it successfully. It's always been Griff fires them, and that's shitty. That's not great. So what we're finding, Nicola, is your thing is people they don't know how to approach this. So they go to conflict resolution, they go to gravity, they say, hey, this person's not doing a good job, like do something about it, And what I'm assuming what you learned in gravity, I haven't done the course, is that like you're looking to resolve the conflict, So smoothing it out, making people talk, make them understand each other and see if they can improve their working relationship. But what you're finding, what I hear, is that this doesn't resolve the productivity issue, And
Well,
so
yeah, no, go
um
on.
so what I think is like there needs to be a way for people to like work with contributors that doesn't require the whole DAO's attention. And if somebody needs to be removed from a working group, then somebody can just make the call, And I was talking to other people, like I was talking to Willie about a year ago. I was poking around in other DAOs, like, how do you offboard people? How do you fire them?
Yeah.
And usually they leave it to like a working group, The lead has the agency to say, I want these people to work on this with me. And if the person is removed, they're not removed from the whole organization, but they're saying, hey, I don't want you to work on this anymore, which it could be a working group usually in that case.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I mean, I've heard that. I noticed that it was part of the discussion in a forum, and I think it's definitely a good option. What I'm thinking as I'm hearing you talk about this, would it make sense that, because what I personally just don't like about this one thing is like comparing to decentralization and more horizontal structure, and the fact that we again bring some sort of like a power aspect into this. So I imagine that to make it a little more fair would be like, okay, the group lead has like 50% of their say, and then like there's protocol around this. So the lead needs to go and talk to the other people that actually work closely with this contributor, so that we can avoid interpersonal issues when somebody just doesn't like someone, but when they can go and talk to other contributors who are working closely and get their feedback and track it, make it like somewhere recorded for the relevance, for the for the archive, and making sure that like they track the process of the decision making, then that feels more right to way to go about this, so it's just not me leader coming, so I don't like how you work, and I may be not so honest with myself that I actually don't also like your personality, whatever I don't like about you, I just don't want to work with you. But maybe that person actually deserves a chance, or maybe they just need a little improvement or a little bit of coaching somewhere. So little bit of a balance to bring in the game with like this leader before making this decision, having to go and talk to the team and like the people that actually
Mm-hmm.
work closer with that contributor makes much more sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when we work towards providing feedback and actually contributors implementing the feedback and even speaking of mediating the cases, some sort of escalation or scaling, I think it's important. It's like important to give at least one chance to this person to like change things and improve themselves. So it's not like, oh, you're out, you're like terrible, whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that
This is like
maybe
any workplace. Like I don't know what you have at Europe, but we say 3 strikes, you're out.
yes,
You know, so
exactly.
that
So I
implies you
like
got at least.
I
Yeah.
like that. And maybe we need to just like bring a little bit more attention to onboarding process, you know, and making sure that, you know, we may adjust the way we onboard people and we let people like to assign for certain tasks. And maybe there is a little bit of uh, space for improvement there so that we can prevent a lot of like this kind of like blind ends of just like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, but
Mm-hmm.
3 strikes and you're out. And something that I like a lot personally is that if there is this type of escalated feedback and there is this discussion, and like currently I'm actually having a quite complicated case where there's a lot of discussion and very a lot like it's like pretty much like between two leaders, and it's very difficult um, to get to a productive place where we just like have an agreement. But like actually that's the other most important part about like having cases and mediating cases is being able to get to an agreement that needs to be followed. You need to follow up on that agreement in 2 months. And something that I'm actually implementing now is I also want to hear from those parties what happens after this agreement failed. If you're not able to deliver on this agreement, what will happen next? Like, you need to define this. Is it like you're out right away, or are you
Mm-hmm.
downgraded on your role, or like this type of thing? I think it's very interesting
Mm-hmm.
in terms of encouraging people as the human beings to be more accountable and realistic with what they can do and what they cannot do, and then like holding themselves accountable and like being responsible for their results and for their words. So if I say I'll do something and I don't succeed in this in 2 months, and my team will give me a feedback that obviously I didn't succeed in the agreement that I've co-created for myself. Like I just want to avoid the situation that people, even though like they're just like trying to like stay here no matter what, and not being able to see that they actually failed and it's time to move on. And they, if they are able to see this, the process of like offboarding can be so much more effort, like easier
Mm-hmm.
for the whole team. So those are some insights from me about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
And okay, I like all that. I like that. The big thing I noticed that we found right now is the current setup is too hard, almost impossible to remove somebody, you know, or to like I don't want to use the word punish, but I want to say punish or like have real consequences, you know. Hard almost never happens in like a DAO way, you know. So I have total faith, but whatever you do, it needs to be easier than it is now because right now it's
Yeah,
too hard or it's too complicated or intimidating or whatever.
yeah.
So I just want to put that in there. Um, whatever we choose to do needs to be in terms of consequences and offboarding.
And big part of this is like personal growth, really, and personal development. If people don't work on themselves as individuals, bringing more awareness into their lives, then we can't really expect for things to be easier because there's less awareness, less conscious action, reaction, and
Mhm.
presence in things. So, like, personal development is something that I would love to also bring more in, whether it is like some non-work related events and, like, I don't know, whatever type of like games or
Sure.
practices that we can do in a group setup.
Great. I want to leave that brainstorming for another time,
Cool.
but this is really good. I like that we're thinking about all this stuff because it's important.
Mhm.
Great. Now, I want to try and tackle this bigger one here, which was underneath defining our working group goals. So that's going to be high level, midterm, and short term, right? So high level is like, our working group mission. Midterm might be like, what do we want to accomplish in the next year, I would say. Like what's our like final, things that we want to build and want to do in the next 3 months. Right? So the high level is going to be on the working group proposal, and the short term is going to back up our budget request. And the midterm should be, let's plan a little bit farther ahead. Let's see here. We'll call this goals. And then we'll put a little subheader. We'll do high level. So, I mean, just as you got it, just, spitball whatever you think like a high level goal should be, if you have anything at all right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Nick-
I love it.
Oh, Nico, I know,
Um,
like, yeah, Nico, go ahead. I have some, but I'll go after you.
Maybe high level is yeah. I got this from because in GM, just a reference, in during our HR monthly calls, we created this OKR, so we have quantifiable goals, like every quarter. So some of our high
Mm-hmm.
level goals would be to build improved processes, like just the general improved framework and processes of everything, a more solid one and a more
Of
fixed one,
everything related
HR
to what?
related. Yeah, that was related to HR, but for this one, maybe for conflict resolution and HR as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that I can think of.
Mm-hmm. Is conflict resolution HR, or are they two separate things?
They do have a connection, but they're two separate things, right, Nicola?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. All right. All right. Would it okay, I'll leave that. That's fine. Okay. So this is I'll take this part here and we'll save that. Build and improve processes, HR and conflict resolution related. Okay.
Mhm.
Anything else?
Um,
Ooh, Kai is here. Kai,
Hey,
hi.
This is not the DAO Ops meeting, is it?
Yes.
it is.
But it's the
it
wrong
is.
time. It's supposed to be in an hour. Well then, cool.
What?
You're late.
Is it?
No,
What does it show
that's
up on
what
your
my
calendars?
calendar said. So it might be. I mean, did we have a daylight change somewhere? Ours was like a month ago.
No. No. I just booked it this morning. I don't know. Did it show up right on your calendars? Nicola?
Oh no, I missed it. Right, this is the end.
We got another 10
So
minutes.
don't worry, the calendar is right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it
Or
showed up
was it?
today, but yeah,
I will
it
Mhm.
read
showed up
the
in my
note.
calendar.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, just for your context, Kai, we just kind of went through defining the scope. And so we said we were going to do all of these things. Basically, I just copied this from the forum. We also added in the HR task that Heather and Nico do every week. And right now, we had a big conversation about conflict resolution. And right now, we're working on just spitballing ideas for the high-level goals of the working group, what we think that should be. So I'm down for anything else.
Yeah, I think one high level goal would be just maintaining it health of the DAO, and we need to define what health means.
Half of the DAO.
Health.
Health of the DAO.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You had something, Kai?
This is interesting. KPI metrics for DAOs. So maintaining is one thing. It's a decision to be a DAO structure, and one problem is like we have to make it up as we go. So that should be incorporated somehow. It's very important for us, but it's very hard to orient yourself. So it's also this part of Giveth for us was always a bit of like we had some words in the past like governance lab, I think we had once. To just like catch this aspect of the whole thing. And yeah, I'm just here just to like recap that. I would like to know did this work before? Just like if I don't know if somebody else asked, because I was always wondering like, was there a meeting like this before, or is this like a really new work group now?
It knew. This is the first meeting we've ever had.
Wow, so it's like you really made all those proposals with just the forum and yourself. That's fine. That's nice. It's good to move alone and fast now that those times are over.
Well,
maybe
what I want to do with this working group is like not have like the governance thing where like all 40 of us show up, whatever, but like focused where, okay, how are we improving HR with conflict resolution? How are we tying in that with our voting apps, managing our treasury, doing our accounting? It's kind of this catch-all for everything that like makes the DAO run, So
yeah,
there's a lot of different parts of it.
No, it's cool because I thought you had probably not enough input, not enough ping pong. No, nobody, really to like no team, which is cool. So it's nice.
Okay. So the big thing is going to be maintaining. A lot of this is from our scope, actually. It's almost entirely our scope. Upgrading our voting processes. What's that? Another one's going to be securely and effectively managing the DAO's treasury. What is the other one? Something I need to from you, Kai. Vesting distribution. I don't think that's like a high level goal, but there's some stuff around like our voting apps that might need DevOps,
Well, but that's not part of the DAO ops then.
Well, maintaining the voting
like
apps,
this whole eating and CRISPR thing is where you're your own DevOps here. You're actually exactly doing what DevOps does,
Right.
It's just like DevOps is just like a process.
Well, DevOps is a service,
DevOps is a process. It's just to have an interface between what developers do and operations puts out as infrastructure. Don't,
So
but let's not digress. I think it's also fine if we don't have all goals at one point. I'm not sure if like this is maybe one thing, like have we found a way to document these, or like have we found a better way to than Notion and or the forum to document these? Because the what I think is you have like these two problems. One is like if you have something like an ongoing conversation, it's really hard to know. Like there is no status quo, and like I feel like something like a work group that has like uh iteration of goals and like I mean maybe like quarterly, it like will change once it's found its form, and like how do people check on the latest. And I think also the work group itself might need that, like like we should maybe define where we have the manifesto. Always sounds so grand, but I mean like the mode of operation and our goals and what
Well,
basically what you have here.
that'll be the working group proposal in the forum for now.
Okay, so you want to keep it
And
in one. Okay.
in terms of like iteration, like we'll be having 3, maybe move to 6-month budgets. And every time we have to do this process again, this is where we iterate, right? So we say, hey, these were our
Yeah.
goals. Did we beat our goals? Do we need to change our goals? What's our mission? It's like, so because we need to ask for more funding, or at least for now, at least budget our funding every 3 months, then we have to come and like, back up that funding that we're asking for by looking at our
Mhm.
goals.
So would be innovation part of the process?
Yep.
Would it
What do you innovate? What?
us like how
Innovate
so this
us.
this group, the processes that we're using, whatever is that we need to do as a DAO to stay up to speed with the
Mhm.
amazing new opportunities that are coming from within the Web3 space that we could use for our growth, this type of innovation, I mean.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if there is anything like I know these are supposed to be like, maybe this is an exception, but these are supposed to be like product work groups and such. I always had the idea. I mean, we never did it, but when we were a very young DAO in a world where almost no DAOs exist, Giveth was very, like this enigmatic thing, and many people came and just, asked questions. And we always thought we should document our process better, but like it's so much work. And with the donation platform, we just never got around to really document or make a handbook, DAO handbook. I know others tried and probably also failed. Maybe nobody needs a handbook, but like if we want to make one product out of it, and this is like really in parentheses because we could, is this. Somewhere between like history of one of the oldest DAOs. I mean, we could really write a book with Griff's
I hate
history
this
with
idea
like
so much.
DAO. I'm just
Just
saying,
gonna be
we need
honest.
funding. I'm just saying,
Writing all
like
this shit down.
bestsellers.
Remembering to
Yeah.
update it every time it changes. Writing a history of, I'm like, man,
You were not there,
documenting
youngling.
things. But I had to write
You
all
heard
that
the
shit. I had to
stories
write
of
all that
old
shit 2
men.
years ago. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It was 2 years ago. It's fast. What do you think is in 2 years? Everything changed. You will be sitting where I'm sitting, and Nicola will have grown a beard then,
I can't be bothered to write all that stuff down.
Oh no, please don't.
Oh my goodness.
I just wanted to say that because this like it could be one of the goals. I just wanted to mention it that like we did try to make a product out of this whole process before. It just never caught on, but it's a nice idea. So this can always be like one of the things we can think about. It's also one thing we can also always promote to other people. Is like, hey, to other DAOs, come and learn with us from us. Because DAOs actually want to learn from each other, it seems.
Sure.
It's just very
It
hard
sounds
because
like a
you have like
business
these,
model.
yeah.
I can see potentially a lot of value in that. And maybe that is something that, we can invite once a year, somebody who is actually a writer and their only job will be to come and talk to people and document everything and do this for us, so we don't have to.
Yeah, yeah, it would need to be really great and it would need to be
Right.
finished. The problem is it's just much work. It's very dry and it's, uh yeah.
Well, how
I
do you want to
hated it.
keep up with
I
all the
hated it.
change? It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't
I
know.
know.
Maybe we need someone to just like build an AI that can actually do
No,
all this.
I said no.
Mm.
I think the most I think there are there are people like DAO Canvas, or like tools like DAO Canvas, and like people are making tools like DAO Canvas that help other people navigate around the field of DAOs. But in general, it's too young. It's like, we are doing something here, but because also there is no law, there is nothing for us to really, we just get by and we
Yeah.
organize
I
like,
want to hijack this
yeah,
because we've got
please
2
do, of
minutes left here.
course.
Okay. So I can see we've got a lot of different ideas and it's not clear. Can I give you guys some homework for next week? Take these things here and just write what you think, If take some time, think about it, like what are the high level goals from your perspective of this working group? What are the midterm? What are the short term? And just take some time, think about it, and maybe we can bring this to our next call next week and
Which will be when?
compare.
Shall we try to
Um,
establish a new?
Tentatively, it'll have to be the same time. I put in all of my availability, every single hour that I'm available, and this is when you guys, almost nobody was available at the same time that Frashel was available. So I don't know what to do.
I don't see Freshell here.
I know,
It's
because it's
fine.
2 a.m. in the Philippines, 3 a.m.
Oh man, poor Freshell. Nick, you're not there yet, right? Um, time is fine for me, but if it's too late for the Philippines, I'm fine to move.
I don't know. If Nicola, if you're available any other times that are earlier, like, because I noticed you weren't available a lot in the morning. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have to be like it would have to be more like a 8 a.m. Costa Rican time, because usually like Mondays are just like, yeah, I've been in calls since like 8 a.m. basically 8:30. So for Monday it's kind of tricky.
It doesn't have to be
And
Monday, but it has to be 8 a.m. sometime ideally, or 8 to 10 a.m. I think 10 a.m. is kind of the limit because I think that's midnight. No, that is 9 p.m. Philippines.
so I don't have a problem like doing this the next week the same time, or when is the options that actually Freshell can join?
I have to open up the doodle, or maybe we'll just make ourselves a little group and figure this out.
Yeah, that would be good, because I think it would be good for her to be here. And also, I don't know about Heather, but she's also in a European time zone, and she will be back by next Tuesday.
So I think this call definitely has to be earlier because of the time zones. Okay, great. So then some homework regardless, and then I'll try and put everybody in a group and we can figure out a better time for this call. Okay. All right. Thanks
Sounds
for joining,
great.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks for
everyone.
calling it in.